Hey everyone, Trent here.
Along with Julia.
And this is our spoiler review for Spider-Man Far From Home, the final movie in Phase 3 of the MCU. What did you think of it?
Loved it. I'm just out there now. Loved it. Happy. Contented. I love my Spider-Man.
It was a very fun movie.
It was fun.
If you've seen my non-spoiler review, I gave it an 8 out of 10. We saw it again a second time tonight, and I'm still going to keep the score.
He saw it a second time tonight.
Sorry.
This was my first viewing.
Sorry, but yeah, I love it. I can go into more detail with what I loved about it. I'm going to start with Mysterio. Jake Gyllenhaal freaking nailed this role big time. He's a solid actor, always dependable, but he brought so much range and villainy to Mysterio. And I loved the scene that I love the most is the scene that is quickly become my favorite out of any MCU movie and any superhero movie, the hallucination scene.
The hallucination scene? I thought that would have been your favourite.
I loved it. It was so good. It was like it was ripped straight from the comics, straight from the PS4 game. It was just amazing. It was beautifully done. The CGI was fantastic, and Gyllenhaal's voice in that particular scene,
So creepy. It was
so
good.
eerie. It was wonderful.
Yes.
And I loved it. I loved that. But getting off topic of Gyllenhaal, let's talk about the rest of the cast. What did you think about Tom and Zendaya and the returning crew?
I really, really love Tom. So he's now, probably after this, become one of my most favourite Spider-Man just because he's just so cute and adorable and awkward.
He's so nerdy and awkward.
But he's just so true Spider-Man of that. In one of the scenes, Jake Gyllenhaal's character goes, "Never apologise for being the smartest person in the room." And there's a moment for Spidey where he has done his little nerd bit and everyone's just gone...
He's so proud of himself too. He's like, oh.
But multiverse. But multiverse.
Yes, which turned into nothing.
Which turned into nothing. I was so disappointed.
Yeah.
My hopes were so high.
So high.
So destroyed.
But more about that later.
Later.
Tom is great. I love Tom. He's quickly risen to my favourite Spidey. He just has all the traits. And his relationship with Zendaya...
That was really good.
They are so cute together. Like, even off screen, you see the behind the scenes, you see them in their kind of interviews and press junkets. They have so much fun together. And that actually with all the kids in this movie, the main cast, Ned and Betty Brant as well, they all have fun and they all have this great chemistry on screen. And I like that a lot. What I didn't really like about the character and student field trip element
was the secondary cast?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excluding Flash Thompson. I like Flash. I liked Flash Thompson.
Is good. He's we're slowly learning more and more about him.
Mummy issues.
And a little bit more rich. I'm liking the little tidbits we're getting because I'm like, Green, you're not that much bigger
what
of an
bits?
asshole. The little tidbits.
Titbits. Tid or tit?
Tit.
I like little tidbits too. Anyway, so yeah, we're learning more about Flash, but the part that was really jarring for me was the two teachers, Mr. Bell and Mr. Harrington, and Brad, who was literally just there as a foil for the Peter and MJ romance that wasn't needed to be there
at all. The joy, I think, with the relationship of this particular Peter and MJ is they're both so socially awkward they don't know how to deal with each other, so you don't need to bring in a second kind of
a third wheel.
You don't need to bring in a third wheel because they have made their own wheels.
Yes.
And that was proved on one of the scenes on the Prague Bridge where he wasn't even mentioned.
No, but he didn't contribute to any of the turmoil at all. Peter was just doing it because he was disappearing. And that was where a lot of the scenes kind of did feel disjointed. They went on too long to focus on these characters where they weren't needed and they were just used for comedic relief.
Yes.
If they cut that, it would have been a much more flowing movie, and that first act wouldn't have dragged on as much as it did.
Yes. It was very interesting looking at this, how the first act was a little bit more dragging. Second one picked up with the revelation, which was a little bit off-putting, but we'll talk about that in a bit. And then the really good climax of the third act.
Yes, I did. I loved from once Mysterio kind of came into it, after the Molten Man fight, it really just... It
picked
went
up
really well. The pacing was great. But that's just a little nitpick there. On the reveal of the villain. I don't like being treated as stupid.
Montage! That's seriously what it was.
That wasn't a montage.
It was a montage.
It was a monologue.
It was a monologue?
Monologue.
Oh, okay.
Montage is when time goes really quick and like things happen, and it's a passage of time. We need a montage.
Oh, God.
Montage. So that's a montage, but
This was a monologue.
It was a monologue which wasn't needed. It brought into existence so many irrelevant characters that you do notice, and you reflect back on what happened earlier in the movie. With my second watch, I noticed a few of them in earlier scenes, particularly when Hydro Man came into it, well, the water elemental. But they weren't needed. The reveal was very dumbed down, explaining the motives, having it connected to Tony. That was a nice touch, but it didn't need to be done in a, here, we're spoon feeding the audience.
I think we only really needed Jake Gyllenhaal's character explained that way. Everything else, we don't need to know where the bit different kind of tech came from. That could have been revealed later, especially in that, after that awesome hallucinogen scene.
Yes, and this is why we don't edit videos.
Yes.
So yeah, I didn't like that reveal. I would have rather, especially with the Molten Man fight, the part of the drone, which we didn't know was a drone at that point, that part came off, and that was the first instance of, okay, there's something up here.
Yes, because I was like, ooh.
That could have been played so much more, even with the Edith glasses being given to Mysterio. We could have not had the reveal that he was the villain then. He could have kept playing the hero, showing up later, and using that hallucination scene. Once Peter has once MJ and Peter discussed and discovered the tech, that could have been used as the I'm the big baddie, the big reveal, instead of that. But that's just my...
That's minor.
Oh, that's yours too?
It's mine too.
Okay.
Yeah, I really agree. I think a more impactful reveal would have been that scene in particular, not the monologue scene that we were given.
Yeah, I didn't like it because then we got the Prague Bridge scene.
Yes.
Where they basically repeated
everything
what we'd found out.
Yeah.
Yes. So I didn't like that was a part that I did not like. I liked the way the elementals were used sparingly.
Yes.
In a different movie, in a different type of plot, I would have liked to have seen more of them. But considering they were a plot device for Mysterio, they were used effectively as a, yes, we are building him up as a hero, which is exactly what happened in the comics. He's portrayed as a hero in his first appearance, and tries to frame Spidey as being a bad guy.
Nice.
Until it's revealed that he is a villain. But it's one of those things where the elementals, they were a big part of the advertising. They weren't a big part of the movie, and I liked that they weren't a huge part, and that they were just his hallucinations.
Yes.
And the way they explained how the hallucinations worked, I liked it.
Yes, I did too. That at least wasn't dumbed down too badly. It was very much this is the tech, you've seen it before. It already has been explained to you, so here's just the summary.
Yes, and for those who are wondering whether they were actually Hydro Man and Molten Man or just the elementals, they were neither. They were never named. However, there was a BuzzFeed little Easter egg for Morris Bench, who is Hydro Man. They say like, yeah, he was experimented on in hydrochloric base or something like that, and got his powers. So yeah, they didn't really elaborate on it, but it was a nice little Easter egg to throw Morris's name in there.
The CGI in this, though,
Beautiful.
Speaking of all that hallucinogens and imaginary and everything, was just brilliant.
Yeah, it was, and there was some great cameras like dynamics, particularly in the third act when the cameras are doing different perspectives. They're showing it from the drones, and Peter, it's like they've attached like a GoPro to him, and you see him going around the Tower Bridge and all that kind of stuff.
But that wasn't jarring as well, so it was quite nice and very easy to flow and watch.
Yeah.
Can we talk about Mysterio's costume?
The costumes were great overall.
Oh my god, the costumes were great overall. Everything down from the dress MJ was wearing to the new Spider-Man suit.
Yeah, I liked the new suit.
I loved that scene
with the
too.
dicto wings.
Yeah, it was so good. But the detail in his suit is ridiculous, and I feel sorry for any cosplayer that wants to make it.
I don't feel sorry for any cosplayer. They can do it. They can do old fishbowl head. But no, I agree. The costuming was excellent. The music was excellent. They had different songs for different countries they were in. That was really cute and nice.
The starting song is hilarious.
The Bodyguard.
The
theme from The Bodyguard. It was
great. But how they linked all the music through, again, it was something you didn't notice until you think back on it, which is always really good. It wasn't jarring or in your face.
Yeah, and there was a very epic score, a very epic orchestral score that was a play on the Spider-Man theme and built on the themes from Homecoming that made it more epic. So that was really good too. I don't think that the consistent interference of Fury was needed at times, with the field trip being changed to, reflect what was needed for the plot.
What I found interesting about that, though, was when it was revealed in that post-credit scene that it's the Skrull. I was going to say Skrillex, but no, that's a DJ. That kind of made a little bit more sense in my brain to go, well, it's someone pretending to be Nick Fury.
So he doesn't have the...
He doesn't have... Because that definitely wasn't Nick Fury, like, motives and moves. So...
No, well, the banter was very much different.
So then thinking back to that and then going, oh, no, it's an imposter. I kind of...
A good imposter, not a bad guy imposter.
Not a bad guy, a good guy imposter. I was like, I like this. Like, that wasn't too bad for me.
Yeah, but I really enjoyed the movie. It's a lot of fun. It's got a whole lot of heart, and the focus is on the romantic element of Peter and MJ. And it raises the stakes, not in terms of a global threat, but it raises the stake for something that Peter is always dealing with, and that is his friends and family safety. He has to learn the responsibility. He's trying to move outside of Tony's shadow. Tony is always in the background of some sort of scene, or he's kind of got some sort of presence with the Edith glasses, which are the MacGuffin of the movie.
Or painted on the wall. Yes.
And he's always trying to figure... It's like with this movie, he's trying to figure out his own path because he's working with the assumption that he is trying to be the next Iron Man. And that's where we get the nice revelation from Happy, who has Jon Favreau returning as Happy, kind of saying, no one's going to be Iron Man, no one can be Tony Stark, not even Tony could live up to Tony.
So you've just got to...
You've got to be your own person. And it was good to see those different dynamics between the characters. You had Happy, who was looking like the father figure. You had Fury, who was like the trainer, who's like, you've got to really step up your game. You've got to get that responsibility. So it's good to have those really key Spider-Man themes with different characters, because there have been so many different iterations of the character. Like the Fury Spidey dynamic reminded me very much of the Ultimate Comics, where he works as a SHIELD operative, and he comes in with that naivety, and Fury takes him under, gives him a suit and trains him. Whereas the Tony and Happy dynamic is more of the Uncle Ben moment. And I really enjoyed it. The character dynamics in this movie were this strong suit for me, like the main core cast.
Yes.
They all did a great job.
They all did a fantastic job.
And Gyllenhaal was believable as the initial hero, even though most people would know that he was going to turn villainous. I wouldn't have minded if he stayed a hero for the whole movie and then got a reveal at the end.
Yeah, as a baddie. I wouldn't have minded that as well. But, solidly I would agree with your original score of 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, full 8. Solid movie.
8. Yeah, I loved it. The second watch is still just as good as the first. And actually probably a bit better because you notice a few more things. Like before the end credits, there's a little scene where they're web zipping and he's just about to pick up MJ from, I think it's Grand Central Station. I could be wrong. And there's a little sign on the back of a construction site that says, we're excited to show you what's coming. And it's got 1, 2, 3, and then a question mark for 4, which is a reference to Phase 4 being a complete mystery and this being the end of the phase. So that was something I missed on the first time and saw it the second. So definitely just see it multiple times because there are a lot of Easter eggs and a lot of references in this, particularly when he's designing the suit. You might notice a couple of nice things. But yeah, there are 2 post-credit scenes. Check out my post-credits explained to see what they are. They are one of them is my favorite one that they've done yet, involving a certain newspaper media mogul.
Oh, that was so good.
So good. So good. But yeah, I'm Trent.
I'm Julia.
Follow our handles at Fortress Nerds. Tell us, did you like Spider-Man Far From Home? What did you like? What didn't you like? What were your favourite bits? Mine was clearly the hallucination. I loved that.
And mine was just Tom Holland.
Yeah. So, I'm Trent.
I'm Julia.
And you're watching
The Fortress.